All right, today we're talking about the 5 design components of teams. We've talked about goal clarity, task structure, and composition. The next thing we're going to talk about is function. Team functioning is about how the group communicates and makes decisions. So some things you can think about in regard to functioning is, do you have a communication setup or process within the team where it's really just one person coordinating and managing the work of all the others who work kind of independently? Or is it more of a type of communication structure where everyone communicates with everyone else? Also, how do teammates communicate? Do they communicate in person mainly, over email, through memos, through presentations, meetings? How often does the group get together and how do they communicate and exchange information? Team functioning also deals with how the team makes decisions. So is it, an autocracy where one person makes all the decisions, or is the team more democratic where the whole team needs to vote to approve something? Okay, today we're talking about team structure, and we've talked about goal clarity, task structure, composition, and function. The last thing we're going to talk about is performance norms. Performance norms are norms, kind of these unspoken rules, beliefs about what levels of performance are acceptable and how people should behave around the office. If you've ever been on a group project, which I'm sure you have, you'll realize that you have different performance norms than other people. So there's the person on the team that has the performance norm of, hey, I just want to pass the class. C is good enough for me. And then there are people who are like, I want to get an A in the class and get perfect score. And they have these different beliefs about performance coming into the team. Norms govern many behaviors within a team. So when you're at your team meeting, well, first of all, does your team meeting start on time? Does everyone get there 5 minutes early? Do people wander in 10 or 15 minutes late? Those are norms about punctuality. When you're in the meeting, are you all focused on each other, or do you have your laptops out? Are you checking your cell phone? Is that okay? That's a behavioral norm. There's often not an explicit rule about it. It's just what everyone does. Those are behavioral norms. The way you dress in your organization is largely a function of behavioral norms. So norms are these unspoken rules that govern team behavior. Leadership has a powerful influence on norms. One semester, this has only happened once ever in my 10 years of teaching in universities, I mixed up the time and date of my first lecture for a class, and I missed the first class. And it was my undergraduate business communications class, which is a class where my first lecture is about how if you want to be successful in this class, you have to be punctual. You have to be here. You have to turn your assignments in on time. You have to be organized and detail-oriented, right? This lecture I give them about how important it is to be organized and responsible. And I missed that lecture, right? So I come into the second day of class. I give that lecture sheepishly. And then the very next day I get the flu and I'm out for the next week with the flu. So I end up missing 3 out of the first 4 classes for that course. And the rest of the class I had problems with absenteeism. Students just wouldn't show up. And it's because I had set the behavioral norm, right? I had told them that attendance was important, but my behavior had expressed to them it was not. My behavior made it normal for them to miss class as well. So that's what I mean by behavioral norms, and leadership has a really powerful influence on that. Today we talked about the 5 design components of teams. We talked about goal clarity, task structure, composition, function, and norms.